Well, hello, and welcome to Spending Time with Dr. Walt, your local old school, old 50 gamer, back in the house. Today I'm doing something that I haven't done before, and hopefully I'll do more of it in the future. I am actually going to do a video game review for a game that I completed playing recently. And I felt like I needed to do this because I do have a background in technology, and I've actually studied video game development, and at a pretty high level. Actually, my doctoral study was on video game development companies, so I know a little bit about what it takes to develop a video game, and I just wanted to share with you um, my thoughts on a recent play of a game here. And that particular game is Atomic Hearts. And I felt so inclined to do this because I am hoping that if you are in the market of developing a video game, that you take time to listen to some of the things I am going to say, and maybe you can apply the good and avoid the negative things in hopes of making your video game stronger. Now, I know there are a lot of things that go into video game development. I understand that. And I admire anyone who throws their hat into the ring to develop a video game because it is so tough. And in this world of hypercritical people out there hiding behind internet names and not showing their faces, and just all of the criticism that gets thrown your way, and you know how it is. It's this world is toxic in a lot of cases, especially online. I am not trying to be one of those people. What I'm trying to do is offer my honest and objective perspective on a game that I played, in hopes that either the developers of that game will somehow or another come across my feedback and take it to heart, or someone else will as well. So, I don't like giving overly critical feedback, especially understanding the work and effort that it takes to go into something that you're proud of when you release it. But everything doesn't quite work out at times, and there are reasons for that. So, having said that, you might already kind of get a feel for where I'm going with this. As for Atomic Heart, bottom line up front, it was not my favorite game to play. In fact, it was probably amongst one of my least favorite games to play. And I'll get into that towards the end of my review. But first, and I do have notes here, so I have a notebook. So I'm going to go through some of my notes here. First thing I want to talk about is the actual story. The actual story had a lot of potential, and even after uh, what I consider to be a slow and somewhat lackluster start, that kind of lagged in the beginning a bit. But towards the middle, towards the end of the game, it became at least somewhat interesting. It wasn't very interesting in the beginning. It didn't grab me, it didn't hold me, it didn't make me go, oh, I got to come back and continue playing this so I can see what happens. That didn't happen for me until very late in the game. Very late. And by that time, you lose a lot of people like me, especially those, I'm an old school gamer, especially those who don't have a lot of time or patience to get hung in a game and don't want to fight it all the way through. I was determined to fight until the end of this game because I committed to it. I spoke with some of my friends who played it. They said it was good. I wanted to see the good of the game before I determined that this game was not for me. So I wanted to see it through until the end. Just a little background on the game. There was a character, I believe the character's name was P3, and he was the protagonist in the game. He suffered from a loss of memory, okay? And he had a mystery power glove. Now, this game is based in the Soviet Union, right after apparently World War II, where Soviet Union, not only were they the victors, but they came away with a higher degree of technology advancement than pretty much anyone in the world. Okay, and so my character P3, he was a soldier and he suffered from loss of memory. He had this power glove based in technology. He was reporting to his boss, a scientist and a leader in the Soviet Union by the name of Sechenov. And Sechenov was remained a mystery for most of the game. You know, we would see him time to time, but he was pretty much a mystery for most of the game. Okay, we talked to him, but we didn't get a whole lot from him. More on that later. Our protagonist, P3, was not a very likable character. Okay, in fact, he was somewhat of a jerk. And there are other words that I could use, but he was pretty much a jerk. He was really crass with his interactions with folks, and that really turned me off because I didn't like my character, being that way, especially when I didn't understand why. Okay, he spoke with a American accent and dialect, and he used all of the idioms that we use here in America, a lot of the slang and that type of thing, and it made me question. In the beginning, I was like, well, is my guy Russian? Is he from Russia? Is he from the Soviet Union? Where exactly is he from? Because he is speaking, not only is he speaking English, which is fine because you want to play a game in your own language, but he is definitely using an American dialect. I thought to myself, well, if they do that for everyone, that's fine. But, one of the things that I'll talk about later is that they didn't do that with everyone. So that was a little bit confusing for me. And my character really just seemed kind of lost at times. Understanding he probably wasn't the brightest bulb in the bunch, which is fine. A lot of times our characters are not the brightest in the bunch on these games. But over the course of the game, a lot of them develop. And a lot of them have some type of redeeming character, that redeeming trait that makes their character more interesting, likable as you go along. And unfortunately, I didn't experience any redeeming character traits within my character P3 that made him more likable towards the end. So I really didn't like my character, and that started very early on in the game, and I was hoping that something would happen and would change that. But I digress. So in the beginning, P3 is sent on a mission, okay? And this game is filled with him trying to find different people, trying to find different scientists, and try to figure out, what's going on. Initially, when you start the game, everyone's friendly, and the robots are friendly, or androids, if you want to call them that. They're friendly. Everybody's friendly. And then as I am going into getting my orientation done and that type of thing, learning about some of the game controls, I guess, through the orientation, learning about the glove through the orientation, something happens and all of the robots and androids become hostile towards humans. Just out of the blue. And I thought initially, honestly, that this was a android versus human type of thing. I thought maybe the androids had awakened, and we had a case where in some of the other games I played where it becomes a case of the androids kind of fighting for their independence. They've got this, they've got this, they have their own social consciousness, if you will. They're alive and that type of thing. And spoilers up front, that was not the case. Okay, that was not the case. So we'll get into that more in a moment as I go through more of the story. Okay, so P3 goes in search in the beginning, and he spends a majority of the game either searching for someone, finding smaller bosses in boss fights, or fighting androids. And the fighting androids can be tough, if you're not used to it, and if you don't really understand the game controls. And I'll get into the game controls more in just a minute as well, because that play a major part, and I do mean a major part, about how I felt about the game overall. But with the story, he's chasing androids, searching for his bosses. Although The game had somewhat of an open world feel. It was still a linear story, so you're gonna follow the same track. Everyone's gonna follow the same track eventually, which is absolutely fine. I have no problem with that. Most of the games I play are along those lines. There are some games that have a total open world feel where everything you do is based on you. But even those games have a story. It's just a matter of how the story is told. Okay, it's just a matter of how the story is told. In this particular case, the story is told in a linear fashion with some open world aspects, and that is perfectly fine. The mini bosses and the puzzles in the game, I found them to be very interesting. The mini boss fights were pretty cool for the most part. The puzzles were challenging but not overly daunting to where I felt like, oh my gosh, how much time am I going to spend trying to figure this out? I never felt that way except one time, but even then it was probably more or less because of my fatigue at the end of the day versus it being terribly difficult to figure out. I'm sure I would have figured it out eventually, which I did, but it was just one of those things. But the puzzles, they were cool. They were unique puzzles. And here, let me just show you a couple of the puzzles real quick here that I thought were pretty interesting. All right.
What's that freaky thing on the door?
A lock.
Are you serious? Then open it already. Come on, we're in a hurry.
I'm unable to assist you. I lack any kind of lock-picking functionality. You'll have to find your own method for picking locks. I'm sure you're smart enough.
Yeah, right. In other words, you're basically useless, as always.
Try snapping your fingers at the exact moment the locking pin light goes on.
Okay, snapping my fingers. Oh, this is cool. This is cool. I got it. Oops, damn it. Ah. Oh no. Yo, hold up, man. Come on now. Come on now. Hold up. Wait, I got this. Hold on. Tap. Tap. Oh, that was such a cool puzzle. Oh my gosh.
It worked.
Now, as far as the boss fights go, I think that my favorite boss fight probably came late in the game. There were some pretty cool ones. I think my favorite one was against Natasha. And yeah, take a look at my fight with Natasha, which was, challenging. And I thought it was pretty fun. Natasha. Hello. Your name is Natasha. Okay. Any boss fight with somebody named Natasha is probably gonna be pretty cool. So take a look at this. Okay, so Natasha just fell out of the sky. Natasha is a huge robot. And I think I'm guessing, you know what? I haven't tried my assault rifle yet, so let's take a look at that first and see. Oh! Oh yeah. Woo! Be easy, Natasha. Easy. Nope, don't do that. Don't do that. No, you stop. Stop it. Where'd she go? Don't you come down here. What are you doing? No! No! Get up! Oh, it's the wrong thing. See, I didn't know what power I had. I didn't know what power I had equipped. God dang it. Right! Oh, damn it! Thought I changed it. Either life. Get my life back. Got you back. I got you back. I got you back, Natasha. I got you back. Rise, Natasha. Bang! Nope. Oh, god dang it, Natasha. Natasha, you gonna let me change weapons? Let me change weapons! Let me change weapons. Come on, let me change to Dominator. Nope, nope, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Nothing? No. Yes. Oh, damn. Did I hit myself? All right, Natasha, you stop it. Stop it, I say. Shotgun, maybe? Damn it. I can't. Natasha, you're pissing me off. Rise, Natasha. Ball, Natasha. Shit. Damn, that hurt. Oh, crap. Oh, crap, 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 crap. Heal, man. God dang it. Stop it. Get away. God dang it. Oh shit. I'm hurting. I'm hurting. Oh shit. Oh shit. No. 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 Oh. Oh man. I am so done. No, 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 no. No, no. Woo!
Let's just not talk for a while.
Down goes Natasha.
Sergei, did you search
Oh my
Petrov's
gosh.
body, my boy? Did you find any gold rings on him?
No, sir. Petrov didn't have anything on him.
Very well.
What do we get? What do we get?
Pavlov complex at once.
Yes, sir. I'm on my way.
Can I leave now? Okay, back to the story. So there is a lot of infighting within the Soviet Union, and in this alternate universe, like I mentioned, not only did they win World War II, but they were also very technically advanced. But because of this, they had a lot of infighting about how to deal with the technology that they had, what to share, what not to share, how to keep it a secret from the Western world, which included the United States and Great Britain and those places. So how to keep their technological advantage over those countries, because those were the bad capitalists. And in this environment, obviously, communism is what ruled. And that's fine. You play it from the perspective of the game and the environment that you're playing it from. So, that was okay. But the society consisted of robots and androids who were being used to do all types of things, from transportation to serving to cleaning. I think some of them were even pets or treated as pets or such. And so they were basically being used as tools, which is another reason I thought that once the android all of a sudden revolted, that something happened and it gave them all an awakening. Okay. Sadly, that was not the case. I was kind of hoping that it was. I think it would have made the story that much more interesting. Okay. You learned about most of the infighting through lore that's shared with you through the terminals, which I thought was fantastic. I enjoyed going into the terminals that they had in the different areas and reading the emails that were going back and forth between the people involved. There you learned about some of the characters in the story. There you learned about some of the things that were happening and some of the issues they were having between each other. And depending on the area you were in, sometimes you found there was some personal emails that went back and forth, which were kind of interesting as well. So, they kind of gave the game a little bit of life, uh, and took away from some of the dual aspect of just kind of running around, going from room to room and fighting robots. Okay, so it was that was pretty cool. And as you play, these terminals began to give us a little bit more information, a lot more information, and we start to find out things about, Sechenov and the program that he's starting, and that he's getting ready to start a program called, I believe it's called the Collective. Okay, and I hope that's the right name. I have to look it up and verify it. If it's not, I'll put on the screen what it's supposed to be. But this program is going to allow him to control anyone that's connected to the collective. And of course, our character isn't aware of this. And even after and being informed about it later in the game, our character has a strong sense of denial because of a sense of loyalty to Sechenov. Along the way, we learned that the robots were turned against us by one particular person. I believe his name was Victor. And this is where it's like, okay, well, there goes the fun in that. I mean, give me a story where you have the androids, have an awakening and are fighting for their lives versus just being used as tools by another organic. In this particular case, Victor. So Victor turned all the robots against the humans and killed a lot of people in the process, all in an effort to stop Sechenov from launching the Collective, even though we didn't understand why at the time Victor had done this. Victor didn't really explain anything to us very well. And, we went along and eventually we ended up chasing after Victor. He became another one that we ended up chasing after. And, once we finally caught up with Victor, this is what happened. Okay, so this was an interesting scene. And when we finally catch up with Victor, I do apologize about my sound here. I was actually just kind of going along. I didn't know what to expect, and I was not recording officially at the time. I was actually demonstrating some of the game's aspects to my son who was in the room with me at the time. So that's why there's no sound, because I did not have the microphone on. But so what Victor is talking about here, I guess it's kind of a big reveal. And if you really want to hear it, you can Google it, I'm sure, or find it on YouTube or something like that. But he basically reveals to us that he did create a combat mode for the robots and put that in motion. But he still alleges that Sekhanov's plan was far, far worse in the Collective. But he wouldn't go into any details about it. Instead, he just went off on the deep end here. And as you can see, boom, suicide by robot. And I felt it was a little bit of a shock that he did that. I was expecting more of a boss fight or something, either for us to kill him or for us to take him in. But for him to have suicide by robot, that was totally unexpected. And I like twists and turns. And well, when I think back on it, I understand his motivation and why he did what he did, I guess, but it just seemed to be a little abrupt. I understand he was slowly losing it and felt like he had no choice, but I really just think he had turned into a madman. And I know that he was in love with Larissa Filatova, the doctor that he was with. And by her shunning him, he felt like he had no other options. But we collect his head, and we were ordered to bring the head back to Sechenov. But when we got to our designated location, it wasn't Sechenov there. It was his assistant, Dr. Stockhausen. And here's the scene that played out with Dr. Stockhausen. Take a look. Okay, what's happening now? We got a cutscene. Returning with the head. Okay. I'm walking like I am a beast. And going to see the boss man. Maybe this is a turning point in the game that I finally realized this guy's a piece of garbage. Is he going to tell them to attack me?
I never expected to see Victor like this, in these circumstances. We used to be thick as thieves, you know? But Victor made too many bad calls. Now look at him. Thanks to Dr. Sechenov's brilliance. We don't have to lose all of Petrov's.
Why does she have to go upside down to do this? What are we doing here? Why are we...
We'll be able to return the robots to their previous state once the simulation
He's already dead, you creep! Keep your hands off him!
Grenade!
Is he dead now? Okay. Well, what just happened? Really? No, seriously. What just happened? Why is the polymer coming out? Is he gonna join with him and make him like some kind of boss? And I just went unconscious. Going back to that same world again. Don't take me back to that same world again. Please don't do that. Don't do that. Don't take me back there. I don't want to go back there. Don't take me back to the cartoon world. Okay. I'm not back to the cartoon world, but I don't know where the hell I am. I don't have any weapons. I can jump. I am back to the cartoon world. Damn it.
I don't want to know. Sleeping pills, bottle of vodka.
Okay, so that happened. As we see there, it was Dr. Filatova who tossed a grenade. Obviously, she was already upset about Victor dying and attempted to take the rest of us out as well. She succeeded in taking Dr. Stockhauser out, but we went into our dream state again, the unexplainable, inexplicable dream state, which I will explain in a little while. But we went into this state, and then we came out of it. Everyone was dead but us, pretty much. Once we come out of the dream state, we are told to return to Sechenov, but we are requested by Dr. Filatova to see her at a lighthouse, because all would be revealed once we meet her at the lighthouse. And so, of course, we chose to go to the lighthouse. I don't know that we had a choice. I think that was, obviously part of the story. We were going to go there, but try to make it seem like we had a choice, but we didn't really. So, we we make our way to meet her at the lighthouse, fighting robots along the way, like we always do. And one little boss fight along the way, before we get to the lighthouse. And once we get there, we meet with Dr. Filatova, and she really gives us some good information. And I think, for my take, this is probably the best part of the game. I love the way they give the background and the lore through the emails. They're fun to read. They give you some good insight. They kind of humanize the people, kind of give you a feel for the sense of urgency and also the sense of secrecy and that type of thing. And it was really pretty interesting to read. So I enjoyed reading that. And at the lighthouse, we really got our fill of lore. Had opportunity to go around to so many terminals and read so many things and learn more about ourselves, learn more about our history. So as we explored in the lighthouse, we learned that the protagonist, P3, had a wife who died, and we also died, but they were able to bring us back. It was Dr. Sechenov and his team was able to bring us back with some modifications. And one of those modifications was the way we talk. Now, I don't know if they were trying to explain away the dialect or not, but that kind of fell flat. But some of the idioms, were explained away. But I think that they did a good job explaining some of the background. It was just so late in the game, because we were essentially reaching end game at that point before we really got an understanding of who we were and why we were doing what we were doing. And it would have given me a better sense of, urgency. It would have given me a better sense of belonging had I known earlier about that. And I think that was just an opportunity missed in the story. Like I said before, I enjoyed the story. I think the story would make a fantastic TV series or a short movie or something along those lines. I just don't think that the storytelling in this particular game was done particularly well, and the acting wasn't done particularly well. So when you add that, but the story itself was pretty cool. So after I don't want to skip a very important part here with Filatova. While we were with Filatova, she showed us what amounted to a menagerie of people, volunteers, who were kept in cages and controlled by the mind. And this mind thing was not supposed to be controlling humans. It was supposed to be controlling robots. But she demonstrated to us that she was able to control what they did.
Well, are you ready? Disable polarization.
Fuck is this place? A haunted house or something?
It's a tomb of the mind. The volunteers who lay the foundation for Kollective. The first few groups of subjects all died. Group 30 went insane. Group 73 killed themselves. Group 101 killed each other. Group 204 was the most successful. They all survived. Their consciousness is now in an imaginary world. We call it Limbo. And their bodies are here, under my complete control. Want me to make them do something?
Why?
To show that I'm not lying?
Whatever. Line them up.
Keep going.
The fat guy. Tell him to jump. He could use it.
Just him? Why don't I make them all jump? After all, we all live in a communist society. Goddamn you, jump!
This is insane. Why do you people even do this shit? Fuck. Poor bastards.
No, that's where you're wrong. Chemically speaking, they're all perfectly happy. That's what Collective is all about. The entire world will be just like
Why would
this.
Sechenov want to turn everyone into a bunch of idiots? Was he trying to make fun of the world by making people run around naked and act like animals?
No. We were able to prevent the degradation of individual consciousness. Memories, behaviors, speech patterns are all preserved. But there's one thing they won't be able to avoid. The complete loss of their free will.
We gotta stop this.
Stop this. That's what Victor was trying to do. You got in his way, and now it's too late.
Your boyfriend lost his mind and killed people. He tried to tell me Sechenov taught the robots to kill during the design phase. Why would Boss do that?
Why? Why did he design Collective to be a mind control system? Why does he need those special neurocontrollers? Sechenov wants to enslave the entire world. I'm sorry, but if you don't understand that, you're an idiot!
The boss would never do that.
He would, and he will. On Monday.
All this is really hard to swallow. But I'll help you. Whatever you're planning, I'm in.
Just like that.
You're willing to turn on Sechenov?
After what you just showed me? Yeah. I want to hear what he's got to say.
Yeah, I had doubts ahead of time because there's no way he would turn just like that. Once we left the lighthouse, I should say, and we were on our way, back to confront Sechenov and get more information, we go back into our dream state. Now we know, though, our dream state is a state that's called oblivion, because all the people who were in the cages, they lived in a state of oblivion, meaning they were being controlled, okay? But they didn't realize they were being controlled because their minds were somewhere else. Their bodies were being controlled by the person who was in charge of them. But their minds were living in this wonderful, wonderful world, where everything was great for them. So they had no idea. And so we went into this state about 3 times during the game. And so we went back into this state, and if you know now, what I'm getting at here is, while we're in this state, we're not in control of our body. Okay. And so, as it turns out, while we're in this state, we are made to do horrible, horrible things, such as kill people and that sort of thing, which is why earlier in the game, at one point, when we met with one of the leaders of the Soviet Union, we went into this state, and apparently we killed everyone because we were in this state and didn't realize what we were doing. We were being controlled. And up until this point, the game leads us to believe that we're being controlled by Sechenov, and while we're in this oblivion state. So this happens again while we're in the elevator with Larissa, Dr. Filatova. And you know what happens. We come around and she's gone. We don't even know where she is anymore. We wake up and we're with Granny and Charles, and they share with me, P3, that actually Granny shares with me that Larissa's gone, that I scattered her to the 4 winds, etc., etc. So basically we killed her. The game kind of goes from 55 miles an hour to 90 all of a sudden, because someone stepped on the gas and said, "Oh, you're at the end of the game. Here's a choice that you can make. You can either go confront go confront Sechenov with information you found out in the lighthouse, or you can say, nope, I'm not going to confront him. I'm going to end it right now. I'm not listening to either one of you two. I don't believe you. Little do you know as a player that if you choose the ending of I don't believe you, and choose that ending, this is essentially what happens. Let me show you what happens.
Got a Soviet scientist and member of the Academy who wants to enlighten all mankind and use me to get rid of assholes. According to the manipulative dicks, that is.
All right, so the last time I chose whatever lady, why don't you show me what you got in the arsenal of yours? This time I'm gonna choose the top part.
I'm not laying a finger on Sechenov. I'm out. I've had enough of this game.
What the hell are you? Are you some scared little bitch?
You're making a mistake, Major. Head to Charlemagne now.
If you're so worried about your righteous vengeance, you can go there yourselves. This is my decision, not yours. I'm not helping Sechenov anymore. I've done enough harm. But I'm not playing executioner for a member of the Academy, a hero of the Soviet Union, and a scientific genius. I'm sure he knows what he's doing.
He is just using
Is that
you.
so? Then why aren't I in that limbo, huh? Why aren't you dead? The wizard isn't doing a good job from behind his curtain. By the way, Cherton, I was thinking.
Yes?
You fucked up! This fucking Voskhod polymer extension in my head, it was your invention! You tried to use people long before Kollective came into being. Maybe Sechenov wants to knock the bullshit out of people's heads by crushing their spirit, but he isn't turning people into monsters just like me. Or he'd just use Voskhod instead of the thought controller and the shots!
You're making a mistake.
Stop squirming, you asshole! There. That's better.
Security footage shows Major P3 exiting Facility 3826 and fleeing. His destination remains unknown. Major P3 did not provide any information about his destination, but Dr. Sechenov views this infraction as insignificant. Near the exit used by Major P3, a camera recorded an unidentified object made of black polymer. Its design is unknown. Furthermore, due to its small size, the polymer object in question could not be further analyzed in the footage.
Okay. So, yeah, that's what happens. The game ends. All of the stuff that we've gone through before, it ends. The game just ends. The story is over. It's the most abrupt ending I've ever seen to a game if you choose that ending. Okay, we'll come back to that in just a minute, or my opinion about that in just a minute. But I chose to confront Sechenov in my first play. Okay, and by doing that, it allowed me to have more playing time. So I went in and I got there. The first thing that happened is I was confronted with one of his twin robots, his protectors. Okay, and I fought her in the beginning, and I thought maybe that fight was over. And I was like, well, that's a little bit disappointing because that was pretty much a quick fight. It was a boss fight. I am about to get my ass whooped. Why?
Be careful, Major.
Is that left or right? Same difference.
You have no idea how right you are. dance with you. She's using everything she has to kill you. Use everything you have. Latest robotics technology and for what?
Oh shit.
To kill. How disgraceful.
Hang on a second. Woo! Hang on a second. Oh, let's go with shotgun. Restores health and dodge.
Don't give up, Major. We need...
I'm not giving up, dude. I'm just trying to find the best way I can.
What are you looking at, Major? Fight!
Shit! No, 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 no. What's she doing here? Are you done? We're not done. Okay, we're not done. Use it. Okay.
Authorization. Major Nechayev.
Now I gotta. So we get there, but that wasn't it. I go into the room where Sechenov is, and of course, you know, I'm upset and I'm a little bit apprehensive about talking to him, but I'm not really bent on listening to anything he's got to say. Not really. Okay. I am approaching him, and he's not really open to really talking with me either. Okay, so the end scene, kind of plays out like what I'm going to show you right now. This is how the end scene plays out right before we get to fighting the two robots. The twin is back. Now I'm going to fight both of them. That's a big ass airplane. Are you trying to sneak after fighting the twin already? Yeah.
Boss?
Protect. Well, Cheriton, are you proud of yourself? You, Larissa, and Zenaida have certainly been busy. But Sergei, I wouldn't have expected you to be quite so gullible, my boy.
Silence! You messed with my head. You wiped my memory. Am I a toy to you like those other people connected to Collective? Who the fuck do you think you are?
Sergei. I can see you're terribly upset. It's okay, I don't blame you. But you, Cheriton, you were supposed to help the boy, not pull his strings like a puppet.
Me? Don't you blame this on me? I'm not the one trying to deprive everyone of their free will, turning them into mindless puppets. And it wasn't my choice to be a talking pile of goo either. You're glad it happened, aren't you? You'll use everything and everyone to achieve your goal, including me and your agent. Admit it!
How dare you? I lost you both, then saved your lives. You're both scientific miracles. You are my best friend, Cheriton. And the Major is like a son to me.
And those two are like daughters, right? And everyone you're going to connect to Collective, everyone whose minds you're going to control. Who are they to you? Millions of foster kids? Everyone is just grist for your mill, Dimitri.
I want to give mankind a spectacular future. Unimaginable achievements. I want to give them a path to the star.
Both of you, shut up! Get your hands up! Some goddamn wizard you are. Tell him to stand down. I'm counting to 3. 1.
What a shame.
2.
It's a shame you've escalated this situation without even trying to resolve it peacefully. But I won't let you stand in the way of progress. Right, left, terminate.
Okay, so then we fight the robots, and I'm gonna let that play in the background while I'm talking. I'm gonna try to let that play in the background while I'm talking here. So once because it's really a cool fight. Once I get into the fight with them, okay, I learned that they're basically my wife that I'm fighting. Okay, my wife's consciousness has been transferred into these two robots that I'm fighting. The left side of her brain is in the left robot. The right side of her brain is in the right robot, which, scientifically speaking, it doesn't make a lot of sense, okay? If you know anything about how the brain works, that means you got one side of your brain, I think it's the left, that's for logic, and the other side, the right, for emotion. If you're going to take that and put that into your story and make your two of your main bosses that, then it would seem like you would emphasize that somehow while you're fighting. And maybe I was just running around like a chicken with my proverbial head cut off and didn't notice it, but I didn't notice one side being more logical or fighting with more logic than the other, one side fighting with more emotion than the other. They don't talk to me, they don't do anything like that. So I don't know, it seemed like there could have been a different way to capture the essence of my wife than just to try to imply that the left side of her brain is in this one, the right side of her brain is in that one. That just didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Okay. After I defeat the twins, come to find out that Charles, this living being in my glove, used to be a partner with Victor. Excuse me, not Victor, with Sechenov. He used to be a partner with Sechenov. And apparently Sechenov killed him and then put him in this state. Well, he put him in this state, and being part of my glove, Charles was very bitter about that. They had very different ideas about how to use Collective. And so now Charles being in this state, he all of a sudden wanted to basically eradicate humans. So I'm left between two evils, I guess. We've got Sechenov, who wants to control everyone for the betterment of mankind, as he puts it, because if he's in control, then he can help them to make choices and stuff like that. Even though nobody alive has put him in charge of doing that, it's his own self-appointed thing. But now Charles comes to life and, leaves my glove. Okay. And I'm like, oh my gosh, he's leaving my glove. This is after, I shot Sechenov. So he's laying on the ground. He's not dead, but he's dying. Okay. And Charles comes out. He leaves my glove. And this is where the big reveal of the whole game comes in. So, I forgot to say it earlier. If you don't want spoilers, obviously I'm giving plenty of them in this game. So if you plan on playing the game, sorry, but there are plenty of spoilers that I'm going to give here. Because here's the biggest one. Charles, the living being, crawls out of the glove, inches across the floor, and becomes this massive, massive creature. Okay, here. And I want you to take a look here at how this scene plays out.
They don't have a bar anymore. Are they done? Yeah, I think I got them. Yeah, they don't look too good. Yeah, she's done.
You lousy
Okay, you
piece
don't
of shit.
understand. Sheraton's manipulating you. He gained access to the Voskhod module in your brain and started sending you to limbo. I was busy getting ready for the Collective update, so I didn't realize it right away. He's the one who killed Molotov. Tell me, Cheriton, did you do the same thing to Dr. Filatova? Did you use my agent to tear her limb from limb?
I'm sick of your hypocrisy, Dimitri. I did your dirty work while you stayed squeaky clean.
But they didn't deserve to die. Why have you done this?
You motherfucker, this whole time.
I've had done enough of you, Major. Your job is done.
P3, my boy. Get up! Get up! What do you want?
I want all this to end, Dimitri. I want your pathetic human race to realize it has no future. It's time for it to step aside and make way for the next phase of its evolution. Me.
Cheriton, you're pure evil. What are you going to do to humanity and Collective?
You should not call something evil just because you cannot comprehend it. Evil is an abstract concept, and your thinking is limited. You are a human, a species that will soon be extinct. I realized when I stopped being human myself. Your limitations prevent you from seeing the truth. Dumb humans don't want to evolve. All they want is comfort and satisfaction on someone else's dime.
You never wanted to join with the massive array. No. Don't, Cheriton. No.
Okay.
The Argentum unit entered Dr. Sechenov's office and found no trace of the doctor. According to partially reconstructed footage, it appears the humanoid neuropolymer object approached Dr. Sechenov's body and then completely consumed it. After the events described in the report, the unidentified humanoid neuropolymer object left Dr. Sechenov's office and vanished.
Crispy critters!
There is nothing I can do. If you leave me here to cry.
So did we lose?
There is nothing I can do.
Did we lose?
If you leave me here to cry.
I'm so confused. Did we lose? I mean, like, obviously the game's over, but did we lose the game? I mean,
Okay, so as you can see, Charles is now, he's something. And he completely kills Sechenov and apparently just leaves us there to die. Because we're hurt at this particular point in time. So I guess he leaves us there to die. And then he walks off to do God knows what, to take over the human race as his robot. I'm not sure exactly what. I do know that a couple things happen that ends the game essentially. The first thing that happens is that we go back into oblivion, and I'm not sure how we got there because Sechenov is not there to put us into it. Charles is not there to put us into oblivion, but we go into oblivion. I'm not sure they're trying to imply that we're dead or that we actually are in oblivion and now we're going after and doing crazy things and fighting and killing and we don't know about it. But we go into oblivion and we see our wife, our dead wife, who, you know, she's the voice saying, "Come to me, love," and that type of thing. And we reach out to her and we find her, and I guess we're gonna live in oblivion. I'm assuming maybe we're part of the collective now. Now I think about it, maybe that's what happened. Because remember all the folks I said who were in the menagerie, they're living in oblivion. They don't understand what's happening for them. They're perfectly happy. So I am a part of the collective. So I guess I'm going, yeah, that's what happened. That's exactly what happened. My body is no longer in my control. And now I am living in oblivion with my wife. Okay. So after that happens, the credits roll. Now, I didn't think the story in and of itself was bad. I just think it could have been better. Could have been better told. And, I give the story itself a pretty decent rating. If I was grading the story itself alone, I would say the story alone was pretty cool. Maybe out of 10, I would give it a 7. And that's just the story by itself, with the twists and turns that we had. It would have made a great, fantastic TV show because, at the end of the show, I'm sure it would have been probably better acted. But at the end of the show, it would have been pretty cool to see it because at the end of every show, the good guys don't always win. And I don't even know that I was a good guy. P3 was a jerk. Sechenov was a controlling jerk. Charles obviously was a monster. There was no good guy in this game. So it's just degrees of badness, I guess. So it would have been kind of cool, I guess, to see this as a show. I would have given it. I would have watched it, even if it comes out as a show now. I would still watch it. I like the story. The story was cool. So I didn't like the ending. The ending fell flat for me just because in a game like this, I just felt like there should have been more to the ending. Maybe I should have had a chance to fight Charles. Maybe they're saving it for a DLC. Maybe they're saving it for a game too, but you already lost me at that particular point in time. Okay, so I want to talk now real quick about the good and bad of the game, and I give my final old school gamer rating after this. The good, overall, again, story, not bad. With a linear plot with a couple of twists, I didn't mind that. The story I thought was pretty good. The lore, I thought they did a good job in the lore. I enjoyed reading it. I love how they delivered it. I like the terminals and going into the terminals and reading them that way. So that was cool. The music, I really enjoyed the music. The music was very cool. I could listen to the music. Definitely, it was well timed. It was good music. I really enjoyed the music. And the puzzles, I thought the puzzles were cool. They weren't, they weren't overly daunting, but they were challenging enough to make me want to try to get through them. There was no rage quitting because of the puzzle. So that was pretty cool. I'm not going to call this next part the bad. I'm just going to say the disappointing. And I really hate doing this because I know and I understand how much work goes into it. There are millions of people who come down and talk bad about games, video games. They should have did this. They should have did that. And they go through and talk about all the stuff that the game should have done. And they have no idea what it takes to make even small changes in games. The graphics, the animations, the voice acting, just so much stuff goes into making a game. It's so complicated, which is why I really hate giving bad ratings, because I know no one sets out to put out a bad game, and you're proud of your art once you finish it and put it out. And I get that. But I really must, point some things out here that was very disappointing for me. I thought the voice acting, again, it was not consistent. The accents really threw me off because some of them had American accents, some of them had Russian accents, some of them had accents that I could identify. I think there was a British accent in there somewhere, but they were all from Russia, but they all had different accents. I didn't like that at all because that really felt out of place for me. So my solution for that, if you're watching, and you're a developer, hey, consistency. Just make it consistent. If you want to have everybody have Russian accents, that's fine. If you want to have everyone have American accents, that's fine. Or you can give us a reason why everyone has different accents, and that also will be fine. But there was no reason given for it, so it really felt out of place for me. And these things that I'm talking about, these things here, they break the immersion, of the game. And so when you get to these things that break the immersion of the game, then you really can't enjoy the story for what it is. You can't enjoy a video game for what it is. That was immersion breaking for me. The script for P3, oh my gosh. Wow. I don't know who wrote his lines, but they were among some of the poorest things I've ever seen as far as script goes in any video game I've ever played. They didn't seem well thought out. They seemed childish, crass, out of place, and just it like I said, it made him a total jerk when I don't know if he needed to be a jerk or not, but it was just abrupt. I don't know. I just didn't like the lines. Solution, I don't know. Give the player the option to choose different dialogue, and so I can choose a dialogue where if I want to be a jerk because I'm dealing with somebody who is a jerk and I want to respond in that way, that's great. I can do that. But also give me the opportunity to where if I want to take a softer stance, I can. There were times where I had to choose between bad and worse, and it was just bad, man. It's just bad. I really didn't like just the lines that he was given. So, um, I know I'm asking for a lot because the programming involved in giving players actual choices is complicated, but it need to really be considered in this particular case. The controls. Here's the biggest issue I had with the game, and the controls. It feels like the game was written for PC and then retrofit for consoles because the controls on the consoles were really, really bad. Didn't feel like they were well thought out, and they were hard to remember. Okay, they were very hard to remember, and some of them were game breaking. You know, for me, I almost quit a couple times just because of the controls. And I just gave you an example here. We were only allowed to have two powers. You know, they were different powers you can have. You can freeze people. You could use a protective layer for yourself. You can lift the enemies up and cause them damage and slam them to the ground and that type of thing. And so, but you can only have two of them at one time, which okay, I understand that. You're trying to get me to build my character to a certain degree based upon that. And so I chose to have the protective shield and the mass telekinesis where I can lift folks up and dash them. Now, I was told on the PC that controlling these powers came to two different buttons. I don't know what buttons they were, but it was two different buttons. And so you could always go to either one of them any given time. If you want to use one, you press one button. If you want to do another one, you press another key. So bang, you just press them. They were always there, always available. For the PlayStation 5, I have a PlayStation 5. For PlayStation, there was just one button to control both powers. However, there was another button to switch between the two of the powers. Okay, let me let that sink in for a moment and I'll come back to that. When you press the button to switch between the two powers, there's an icon on your screen that would change to show you which power you had equipped at the time. Switching between the powers, not only was it cumbersome, but the icon didn't change. So I didn't know what power I had equipped. So I'm trying to use one power, like mass telekinesis, and all of a sudden I'm popping up a shield. And it throws off the gameplay because, I'm depending on being able to do that, and I can't do it at the time. And so I take hits, and sometimes I even cause me to lose fights, because of that. So that was a total break in the immersion of the game. And like I mentioned, it was two keys, one to change the power and one to use the power, but there were only two powers. So some of you already know where I'm going with this. If you got two buttons and two powers, one to change the power, one to use the power, why not just use two buttons, one for each power? And that way, if I wanted to use mass telekinesis, I would press this button. If I want to use the other power, I would just press the other button. That seemed to me such a simple solution versus having two powers and me having to switch. Unless you intended on having me to be able to use more than two powers, why would I need a button to switch between the two powers? And I apologize if I'm getting loud on this part, but this was so irritating to me. This is literally the reason why I almost quit the game on several occasions, because my biggest issue with this whole thing was that. Because every time I went to use it, I'm used to playing games that are a little bit more, developed than that, and I never have issues with that. Okay, never have issues with that. All right. The next thing here about the controls, okay, the switching weapons, okay. During the game, in order for me to switch weapons, I would hold down I think it was the circle button, or it might have been the square button. I don't even remember anymore. Honestly, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'll hold down the one button, and I could select my weapons, that way. I did this for a better part of the game until I talked to one of my friends who played it on PC. He said, "Hey, why don't you just use the wheel?" I just used the wheel. I said, "What wheel? What are you talking about?" Well, lo and behold, I went back and Googled it, and there's a weapon wheel. Now, if I missed that in the beginning, that's on me. But there was a weapon wheel, that made it easy for me to change weapons and to use some of my cool equipment, like, I don't know, the cartridges that allow me to apply freeze effects, allow me to apply effects. I didn't find this out until halfway through the game. I'm collecting these cartridges and I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm upgrading weapons and I'm going, oh no, it's upgrade so I can use the cartridge, but I have no idea how to use it, how to apply it. You have to apply it in the wheel. I had no idea. Okay, and that brings me to, not only was that game breaking for me, that brings me to a point here which is very game breaking. Very much so that you want to quit the game. Okay? There was no tutorial in this game. There was nothing I can go into to read about how to do anything in the game. I kept looking, thinking I was overlooking it because there was a glossary in the game. It talked about the characters that was in there. I could see that. It talked about the different type of robots. Okay, that's cool. It talked about what they were weak to. That's cool. But there was nothing in there that talked about the controls. Nothing in there that said, hey, if you want to jump, press this button. If you want to shoot, press this button. If you want to change weapons, press this. If you want to use the wheel, press that. If you want to do anything in the game, you want to use your powers, press this button. You want to change your powers. There was nothing there. Okay? I just recently started a different game that I hadn't played in a year. I went into it, and the first thing I saw in that game was a tutorial that talked about how to use the different powers. I was so thankful because I was like, oh, yeah, I'm great. I can read this. When I play other games, almost every game I play tells you how to use your powers. There's almost every game you can find it somewhere and tell you how to use your powers, how to use your weapons, how to do this, how to do that. Nothing. People, come on. Was that just an oversight? Are you just assuming that we should just remember everything we learned in the first 5 minutes of the game and be able to apply it throughout the game? That is so arrogant that you think I'm going to be able to get inside of your head, inside of your thinking as a developer to where I don't need to get a refresher. I have a life. I work a full-time job. I have 2 kids, a dog, and a wife. And I have responsibilities for all of those things in my life. I'm not going to neglect spending time with my family to try to play the game for 40 hours a day so I can remember everything from start to finish. So basically, I'm saying that I need refreshers. Okay? I might need refreshers. Hey, I'm old. I'm over 50. Okay? And sometimes I'll say, hey, you know what? Maybe the mind isn't working as sharply as it needs to be. But I am a pretty sharp fellow. This is so arrogant for me. This is so arrogant to me. Why would you not put that in there? Why would you not put that in there? So that was a major thing for me that I could not believe that was not there. Okay. The last couple things here. Okay. Really quick. There was no character development here. There was no growth. Like I mentioned before, the character P3, he stayed the same the whole way through. There was no changes. There was no. The only thing that changed about him is he started to question the boss man. But when confronted with a ton of evidence, he was able to at least do that. Or if he chose the one game-ending option, he didn't, and he just refused. Just stayed blind. He put his blinders on like a horse and just ignored what was in front of him. Just ignored it. So there was no character development. Even the side characters, which there was only a couple side characters in the game, there was no development for them. I felt no loyalty toward anything. I felt no love. I felt nothing for my character. When my character was laying on the floor towards the end, I felt nothing when I betrayed Granny. I felt nothing when Charles walked away. I felt nothing for any character in the game. I love playing RPGs. I love playing games that allow me to feel something. Take a look at other games. Look at The Last of Us. I've watched several people play The Last of Us. I finished The Last of Us myself 2 or 3 times. Okay? And The Last of Us 2. I love both of those games. Last of Us 2. You feel in those games characters. You can feel it. When something happens and somebody dies in those games, you feel it. Okay? Cyberpunk 2077. You feel the characters. When, spoiler alert here for those who haven't played it yet, and I'm gonna apologize in advance, but this is at the very beginning of the game of Cyberpunk 2077 when Jackie dies. You feel it. Even though Jackie's time in the game is so short, it's probably within the first, I think maybe couple of hours on a game that can take you 100 hours. But you feel it, and then you continue to feel it afterwards. You know, and other characters throughout that game. You know, another game that's even closer related to this one, Detroit Become Human. You feel so much in that game, and I am going to do Detroit Become Human on my channel at some point, because even though I've played that game a couple times already, I just feel like it's such a masterpiece, such a work of art. From start to finish, they put so much into that game. Wow, I really hope they come up with a part 2 for it. It is wonderful. It is wonderful. And I really encourage you to play it or watch somebody who plays it. Wait till I put it on. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it from start to finish. I am committing today that I'm gonna do that game at some point in the future, probably within the next few months or so. But I digress. To get back to this game right now, man, you missed it, man. You missed it. If you were trying to go for feeling in a character, you missed it. And so I don't know the solution for it, but take a look at how other people have done it, and look at your writing, and maybe allow more choices, maybe to allow more character development, allow your character to grow, and then suck us in so that when something happens at the end, like it did at the end of this story, it tears at our heart. I felt nothing except, man, I'm glad this game is over at this point. And that is not a good feeling. Not a feeling I want to have at the end of a video game. At the end of the video game, I want to be thinking, man, I really don't want this game to end. It's so good. Okay. So overall, I give this game, unfortunately, I'm going to have to give it a low rating. If I was to give it a score between 1 and 10, with 1 being, god awful, don't play it, and 10 being, go buy this game today. What are you doing while you're sitting here listening to me? I'm going to have to give it a 3. Okay, I would have to give it about a 3 out of 10 because it was just too broken for me on the console. I have no desire to play it again. I don't have a desire to play a DLC if one is dropped. I don't have a desire to get a second game. I don't have desire to do anything else with this game. In fact, when I finished playing this game, I immediately uninstalled it from my PC, from my PlayStation. And I've never done that before. I've never done that before. Very few games I've played to completion that I didn't at least say, wow, okay, I can see where they were coming from. And this one, I really had a hard time. I really had a hard time with it. I'm looking at my notes here so I don't overlook anything, but I'm a tech guy and I understand how difficult it is to write quality, tech, to write quality programs. I was a programmer at one point. I had a undergrad degree in computer science from military academy. I picked up a doctorate degree in technology later on in life, and so I know a little bit about technology programming. I was a tech guy. I've done project management. I've done programming. So I understand what goes into this. I really do. But if you are watching this and you're developing a game that you want to put out, okay, there are certain things you don't want to overlook. You don't want to overlook quality control. Quality control when you're putting out a game is so important. Okay, make sure that before you put your game out, that you get someone who's willing to give you objective feedback. I didn't say criticism, objective feedback on your game and recommendations. Someone who's not afraid to talk to you and say, hey, look, this is broken. This needs to be looked at. This needs to be fixed. You need to have those people run a beta test if you have to. You need to have those people look at it and give you that feedback and then go in and make the corrections necessary before you put your game out. Okay. You need to make sure you have good, strong writers. If you plan on telling a story, I think this game was supposed to be telling a story. So you need to have good, strong writings. Look at who's doing your dialect. Look at who you got doing your voice acting. If it seems out of place, it probably is. And I don't know what kind of pressures your organization was under. I don't know, what type of things went into putting out a game that I feel that was substandard on the console. I don't know what went into it, but I'd advise you to definitely take these steps that I put out. And if you, for some reason, are the developer of this particular game and you're watching my video, first of all, thank you so much. But if you're not and you're just a video game developer, look at what they did. If you want to play this game for yourself and see what I'm talking about, play it and you'll see. Hopefully they put out some fixes for it and get these things fixed. But you can see some of the things that are broken in this game. So much potential. So much potential. You can go from a 3 to an 8 in a blink. By fixing just a couple things. Write a game so it doesn't break my immersion. Anyway, that's my review for Atomic Heart. And I don't like giving bad reviews, but this is my first review, and I felt I need to do it before I forgot everything, and wanted to make sure I get this out and document it. So thank you for watching. If you hung in here with me, thank you for watching. I do appreciate it. If you enjoyed hearing my commentary, please feel free to leave your thoughts. Give me a thumbs up and subscribe. I will do more review videos. Hopefully, I'll have some good review videos. I do know a couple that I'm going to do. Like I said, I want to do Detroit Become Human, but I want to show a lot more of that play and maybe do a brief overview of it when I get done with it, because that game is a masterpiece. Okay. Anyway, thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. Love you. See you next time. Peace. Dr. Walt out.